Hello, my name is Nikunj, Executive Security Compliance at Kratikal Private Limited, a firm dedicated to providing cybersecurity solutions to various industries and professionals working in different spheres of environment. Joining us today is Mr. Vineet Mehta, co-founder and CTO at Alyve Health. He has over 14 years of experience in digital enablement, solution architecture, technology strategy, and management of significant technology-led transformation. Using a digital platform, Alyve Health focuses on the health ecosystem for both suppliers and consumers. It is intended for communities and provides solutions to meet their specific health needs involving motivation, habits, mind and mood, financial security, relaxation and sleep, physical activity and nutrition. How would you characterize your organization's line of business given that Alyve Health appears to be a health insurance company? Not an insurance, but an insurance company.
Yeah. First of all, Nikunj, thank you very much for inviting me for this talk. Let me quickly get started about what Alyve Health is all about, right? And why we talk and why we say it is a health insurance platform, right? So, Alyve Health was founded by a very basic principle of bringing the quality healthcare for the masses, and that is where we have started our journey with the groups. Okay, and in the groups, the key thing that we are just bringing is everything under the healthcare ecosystem under single umbrella, right? And when we just talk about that, why we call it health insurance, because if we talk about the health aspect, there is a financial health also. That is where the insurance comes into play, right? Then we talk about the other aspects of health, okay, which are mind and mood, where the psychology comes into play, where it is medicine, whether it is diagnostic, whether it is the wellness services like yoga and other kind of the lifestyle aspects of health, right? So all these things are coming together, and that is where we are saying we are not insuring you, but we are ensuring you the quality services, and that is what Alyve Health stands for.
So by the end of this year, the Indian healthcare market is predicted to be worth $372 billion US. Healthcare is, of course, one of the top industries targeted by cybercriminals due to their access to enormous amounts of sensitive personal data. So, what methods do you advise employing to decrease the risk involved?
We are just getting into the system security, the data security, okay, and all these things when generally just come together as part of the strategy, that becomes the cyber resilience, right? So this is where I will say the things are changing over a period of time, and it is, and honestly, the information security has started taking a seat in boardrooms, because anything, it is about the business strategies, about compliance, about regulations, all these things have to tie together. One more thing I want to just add on top of it, right? In healthcare, definitely, if we just talk about ourselves, okay, just getting compliant with the ISO regulations, right? Just getting compliant with the HIPAA and so on, right? So these are the specific, well-known standards that we can just follow and get compliant with, to ensure that the things we are at least compliant and the things are not getting, we are just more proactive instead of reactive. Having said that, compliance never means that you have to just simply just relax after that and then you are done. It is a never-ending process. It has to be keep on just getting into those kind of understanding the market scenarios, right? How the things are evolving, how we can just go ahead on those things. Same thing applies in healthcare. We are just ensuring in terms of the data sanctity, right? In terms of the data security, how it is being taken care of, not only at the perimeter, but even at the lowest level, at the device level, at the data level, everywhere we need to just ensure that. Yeah.
The numerous laws and regulations India has put in place to support the healthcare industry need to be updated and modified on a regular basis. Businesses can find it challenging to keep costs under control with frequently changing policies. What are the effects of these constantly changing regulations on your business, and how can you stay informed about these updates?
Yeah, so a quite relevant question in current scenario, right? So definitely, the regulations will keep on coming. The very recently, the data bill has been just put on table and drafted, which is going to be law very soon in next couple of weeks or months, right? So what is happening is, number one, whether do we have or do any organization has a choice? Answer is no, right? The second is, can we delay it? Answer may be yes. Should we do it? Should we delay it? Answer is no. So we are catching up on that. But honestly, we are just getting better with the recent policies which are just coming in, right? In terms of how we are just making the accountability across different these things. Coming specific to how we just keep ourselves updated and impact on, or the cost impact on our overall business, this thing, right? That is the second aspect that we have. Coming to cost and expense, definitely. So on the cost side, I want to just go 2.5, 3 years back, right? Where CISOs, when they have to just go and ask for the budgets, right? So they need to just look for or basically a lot of things generally may go down, okay? Because whenever any kind of controls are being implemented, right, and from the perspective of the security and information security, it may have impact on some of the downstream systems, may have, right? And that is the place where the priorities of the businesses come in, right? And that is where security used to take a bit backseat sometimes, right?
You cannot just compromise with the business requirements.
Exactly.
Business processes should run smoothly.
Exactly. And that is where when what has happened is once the COVID happened, right? And that is where the world started facing a very different scenario, right? In terms of how the work has to happen, right? Earlier the work used to happen, okay, everyone has to be present in a specific location, then only they have to work and so on, right? Now the entire scenario has changed 2 years back, where people were allowed to just work from their respective locations, anywhere, over internet and so on, right? With advent of this work from home kind of scenario, okay, and evolution of cloud, right? The things which comes is more around more challenges generally just comes in, okay, because there are more chances of just getting the issues penetrated, right, and getting more penetration to the malware into your ecosystem, right? That is where you have to stop at all these places. So the first thing is, in terms of budgets, yes, because of this evolving scenario, these things have changed, right? Second thing, in terms of just keeping the entire cost in check, is number one, just keeping the best practices at the time of implementation itself. Generally what happens is, when we just keep on just working on the different kind of development, we generally just get the first MVP out, and then once everything is done, then we just think about, okay, now let's implement security, right? If we just keep just thought around the best practices about the best standards that we have in the market, generally whatever regulation comes, it has a minimal impact on your business processes to get compliant to them at the earliest.
Understood. Since COVID-19, the healthcare landscape has transformed. What is the one modification that has affected your working style?
Yeah. So yes, in COVID, it has just changed the entire ecosystem, I will say, right? So not only in terms of specifically, if you just ask from the business point of view, the things is the remote culture has become more prevalent, right? Like I just talked about, right? The remote culture where work from home and all these things come into play, right? That is something which is, and to be honest, for our organization, we generally work around our TAT is driven by trust, accountability, and transparency. I talked before also offline, right? So that is where when we are just getting into this trust, accountability, and transparency, but at the same time, from the security perspective, there is a no trust model, right? So accountability and trust is from the individual perspective that we need to just go ahead in terms of the assignment of the task, how the things needs to be done and so on. But in terms of the systems and controls, it has to be no trust, right? And that is where, to be honest, when the people are working within the controlled ecosystem, you have much more control on the activities they are doing.
Right.
After COVID, it has happened for good. People are just saving a lot of time that they might be spending in commuting. But having said that, just to mitigate those risks which comes along with that, right? So that is a no trust model that comes into play, which we have just implemented as part of this, right? Because the business continuity is the most important thing that we need to just move ahead with. So these are the things which I say it has just gone.
So if we talk about ISO 27001, you just got complied, you just got the certification for the ISO 27001. So can you tell me, there are a total number of 114 technical controls that are listed in this framework. So can you tell me what were the basic challenges that you faced during the implementation of these controls? Because there are certain controls related to physical security, there are certain controls related to technical security. So can you just give a brief about how did you tackle the challenges that were coming in between?
Yeah. So yes, ISO certification was one of the key milestones that we have had in this entire journey, right? Coming to the specific controls, when we talk about, number one is we were always just trying to just ensure that majority of things in terms of, first I will just talk about the technology part of it, then I will come into the physical part of it, right? So when we just talk about the technology part of it, definitely we are basically a startup, started around 2.5 years back. We were just trying to ensure as much as security which is in place, right? We are just going to ensure that piece, right? But once we just got into more specific ISO controls, okay, in terms of the more audited requirements that we need to go ahead with, then more controls we started implementing, right? For doing that, the first thing which is the most important is identifying the right resources within your organization, okay? Because this is not a one-time process, because I can just get a couple of controls in place, just clear the certification, and then I will just not follow any of the processes. It don't work like this. It is not only for the sake of the stamp, which any organization should just go ahead with. So the identification of the right people in a small team like us, right, where they have the respective skill sets, right, need to be aligned, right? So that was the first thing that you need to identify. Just carving out the right time for this kind of activity, right? Because if you just talk about, if I have an enterprise architect who is just working on certain things, I need to ask them, you need to ensure that VAPT needs to be done periodically at specific intervals, mandatorily. That is something, right? That is only the first part of it. The second part is just to ensure whatever the findings that we have in that report, right, those things should not repeat in our further developments, right? So that is where I will be very quickly compliant in my future journey around that, in terms of the surveillance and so on, right? So that is the second thing, the identification of the bandwidth for those resources, right? The third thing, when we just talk about, when we just get into more formal engagement in terms of the ISO and so on, you need to just align your business processes accordingly, right? So that you are just ensuring at each and every place, in terms of the business continuity, in terms of the business processes, everything is aligned to our ISO standards, right? So these were the key things, to be honest, that we did. We were trying to, from our experience in the previous lives, we were just trying to ensure as much as possible, which were being taken care of. But ISO formalized all those things as part of the documented evidences around those.
If I talk about ISO 27001 and HIPAA, as you have completed both of these compliances, in your mind, what other compliances or other frameworks, are there any other frameworks in your mind you want to get complied with, or other frameworks or other compliances that you need for your organization?
Definitely. So, like I just said at the start of my talk, right? So, this is a continuous process, right? So, ISO and HIPAA is just starting, right? And it is more about just getting more compliances, because we are just getting more and more into cloud, right? So the cloud security becomes most important thing, right? So that is one of the key things, right? We need, if we are just talking about the best in class standards, okay, even if we are just following those things, right? GDPR becomes important, right? So those are the things which are basically already, even if we are doing all those things informally, I want to just formalize that engagement also, just to ensure that we are just compliant. And
so basically you want to follow those best practices and make those best practices as a compliance.
Exactly.
Real cybersecurity is presumably challenging to attain because no one is rowing in the same direction. Thanks for being here with us today and providing us with such valuable information. It was a great pleasure speaking with you.